listening to Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio, featuring myself, Chris Smith, and John Ross is on the line in the heart of the center of American carnage.
Yes, Chicago. You know what I would, that intro sounded really good. You know what I would call that?
What would you call that?
Some plucking good banjo.
Hey now. Yes, I'm learning more chord positions here in the high desert while I remain on sabbatical. And John has been...
Why is that?
Why is what? Why am I spending time on more chord positions?
No. What is it about the high desert, emphasis on high, that makes learning more chord formations so easy and
oh, well, that's easily answered. I'm here in Trinidad, Colorado, which has one of the top 3 air qualities in the country. It's the air quality, John. It's the air quality. It's the elevation.
Even with all that marijuana smoke?
I don't know anything about that. All I know is I'm at 6,000 feet all the time. When you wake up, you're at 6,000 feet. When you go to bed, sometimes you get higher than that in your average course of business. What is the elevation in the heart of American carnage?
We're not that. We're only a couple hundred feet above sea level here.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm accustomed to. So, it throws you for a loop, and that's what we do here on Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. This is show number 19, John.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome? We're going to have to throw a celebration next time.
We're going to have like a Trigger Warnings party.
Who would we invite?
Oh, I think, I'm thinking less people than props. For example, I don't know if we invite Kellyanne Conway, but we could certainly invite the couch she's defaced or allegedly defaced this week.
Goodness.
Why is that an issue? Why is that an issue that she's sitting comfy on the couch in the Oval Office? Well, why is that an issue?
It's an issue because it was built to be an issue, John. Why would you put a room full of men standing in suits and then have one woman with her legs tucked up under her sitting on the couch? Why would you do that? Not even that, but looking at her phone, obviously ignorant of her surroundings.
She was probably handling an important call or setting herself up for a media interview, because that's what she does.
That's what we all do with our phones. Anybody that is looking at their phone is setting up their next media interview, okay? And she doesn't get a pass. Nobody gets a pass.
That would be like taking a picture of the president, any president, not in the act of ablution, but washing up in the White House, in the bathroom, in the Oval Office, and saying, well, that's defacing. No, that's what it's for. The couch is to be comfortable. I don't understand. Some of this stuff is too much. Anyway, for a Trigger Warnings party, I would invite the couch.
You would invite the couch, and we can interview the couch. Okay.
That couch has stuff in the last 44 days, wouldn't you say?
We don't know. We don't have sources of information to understand what might be happening. Some say he's wandering around in his bathrobe.
It has been witness to history, that couch. Even if you don't approve of the history, it has been witness to history.
Okay, we are not merely lashing out on this podcast. We never have. I've made sure of that. And you can send your complaints and criticisms. Those are more than welcome. T_warnings at T_warnings. That's our Twitter handle. John regularly maintains our Twitter at 3 a.m. Right, John?
Only when I get really angry on a Saturday morning.
So
that appears to be when things happen, is on early Saturday morning.
it's a very American time to be awake. It's when
3 in the
things
morning?
happen. Yes, absolutely. I wonder how much great national policy has been the product of 3 a.m. We have to get this done situations.
Well, I don't think the stuff that happened yesterday is at 3 a.m. Now, he might have been up at 3 a.m. contemplating.
What stuff yesterday are you referring to?
The tweet storm about how Obama bugged the Trump Tower and yada, yada, yada.
Oh,
he might have been contemplating what he was going to tweet at 6, 7, whenever he did it. But, I don't think he necessarily, maybe he was up at 3. This was at Mar-a-Lago, where presumably he's more happy and restful because it's, he feels more comfortable there. Here's my question: in which bathroom did he sit there cogitating the tweet storm? Because I hear there are many bathrooms in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It does strike me. I'm imagining the president's bathrobe, right? Because our new president, I'm sure he had quite a luxurious bathrobe prior to becoming the leader of the free world. And I wonder if he had an upgrade in his bathrobe. And then I wonder how it compares to the bathrobe of Elvis Presley. Two very strange, very popular people that loved to wander around in their bathrobe.
Although he has denied the reports that he likes to wander around, or that he wanders around the White House in his bathrobe, that he's lonely.
Well, that means it's true. If you tell me if you outwardly deny it, if you say nothing, then I can't. But if you come out and say that it's not true, then out of his mouth, I have to assume the opposite. Well, look, we don't merely lash out. John, what do you bring to the table here on this program?
Well, what I brought to the table today was a fascinating chart that comes, I believe, from a Centers for Disease Control report that tracks the rate of death per 100,000 people from guns versus fatal drug overdoses from 1999 to 2015. And the gun death rate is fairly stable from 10.3 per 100,000 in 1999 to 11.3.
There is an uptick. There is an uptick.
An uptick, yes, but a mild uptick considering the number of guns in this country. However, the fatal drug overdose number looks like the stock market in the last 3 months. It has gone up by 2.5 times in 15 years, from 6.1 per 100,000 deaths to 16.3 per 100,000 deaths. Opioids now kill about as many people yearly as die in traffic accidents, car accidents. So 33,000 in 2015, and the states hit hardest. And this, again, there's no correlation here. We're not going below the belt at the president any more than we need to. Are those that he won, especially the states that he shifted, especially the Appalachian belt, the white belt. So there's a very strong, and we've talked about this before, a very, very strong correlation between opioid deaths and the rapid increase in them and that belt of working class, largely uneducated white folks who turned the election in 2016. And those are the communities, within the states where there are the highest incidences and the greatest levels of crisis. So I was going to throw a question at you, and then you run with it. Is the opioid crisis the new, or should it be, the new war on drugs, such as it is?
Yeah. I mean, the opioid crisis is very related to the presence of high-powered pharmaceuticals in society. And by presence, I mean their availability, their social acceptance, their role in treating pain, and their role as recreational experiences inside of your own medicine cabinet. So I think that's why Trump took the opiate crisis and used it as a means to support his hyperbolic wall. You know, we're going to stop the drugs coming in, and he didn't say what drugs or how, and the reality is, I believe a lot of people begin on things like Oxycontin and find heroin to be cheaper. I know that's been my experience in New England, hearing a lot of stories from a lot of people. Unfortunately, that's the experience here in the high desert. All joke falls away as I've seen tons of drug-related graffiti. Not tons, that's harsh. But I do know of the presence of some drug-related graffiti, which is actually explicitly anti-meth. And there's a crude drawing of a meth pipe and the words "rise above" written above it. I believe that the social acceptance of recreational drug use varies drug to drug. And the way that people take Oxycontin shouldn't be the way they take heroin. And actually, I don't know if the presence of Oxycontin in society does any good to the extent that it is right now. I believe it to be overprescribed. And maybe that's why Trump has just simply danced around this and left it off the table.
Well, he apparently had a meeting last month at the White House. I didn't read about it. But
well, he also met with Leonardo DiCaprio and Al Gore. I mean, what does that mean?
It turns out, opioid racial death per 100,000. Suicides and car accidents, not higher numbers, but I just finished reading this wonderful book, and I guess this leads us to a possible question of whether there should be a trigger warnings book club. But a wonderful book called The True American by Anand Giridharadas, which is the true story of a young Bangladeshi immigrant who was living outside of Dallas, who right after 9/11 was the victim of a raging, revenge, reverse terrorist, a white guy who was sticking up for America. And he went around shooting brown people, none of whom, by the way, was Arab. Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Indian. And he's the only one of the three who survived. And it's a wonderful story, and I won't go into the tear-jerking part of it. But, one of the things that the author does so well is he really gets to know the families, not only the guy who shot him, but his family, his children from more than one woman, and kind of this West Texas or North Central and West Texas, scenario, and he really describes the decay of these kinds of towns, where the only viable jobs for people are working in fast food or becoming a meth dealer in essence. And you see the underpinning of these kinds of political issues or issues playing out in an election alongside these horrific statistics, because there is clearly a connection here between what happens in these communities, economic, social decay, isolation, et cetera, and the response of people who really don't think about or don't want to leave, no matter how bad the circumstances may be. It's a very sad thing, but I mean, clearly this is an issue now that is one of the few bipartisan, biracial, multiracial consensus issues we have in this country, that this is not just an issue that we can write off to the inner city or to non-white people or to people who are at the bottom of the pyramid. We can't do that anymore. And in fact, this is a potent social issue. It's a potent economic issue, and it's clearly a potent political issue.
So on your radar, you would say that the opiate crisis. Now, your chart, I gotta say, it says drug overdose deaths compared to deaths by gun use. Do I have that right?
It is overdose. Yeah, it's overdoses.
So it doesn't specify opiates, and we suddenly zoomed in on that, but rightly so. I think that it's important to talk about it.
No, it is. It's opioid overuse. That's how it's characterized. Opioid overuse.
Okay.
Although in one line it's drug overdoses, the other it's overuse. But I think they're viewed as the same here.
Well, I sought that clarification, and now I lost where I was going with it. But it's on your personal radar, you're going to say that the opiate crisis is now more important than legitimate or illegitimate gun ownership and use, responsible use.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm wondering if you would.
I think it's the new. I think to the extent that we need to fight a war on drugs per se, that it is.
You know what? I'm going to say no. You asked me that originally. You want to know about the phrase "war on drugs"? I'd like to declare war on it. The warlike nature, and this is a George Carlin routine from the 80s. We don't like something, we declare war on it. We need to get away from that. If you'd like to create more effective political rhetoric, yes, we need to fix the opiate crisis and deaths by opiate overuse. This is horrible. We do not need to revive the Nancy Reagan war on drugs rhetoric or let this crowd, the executive branch, anywhere near it. I believe the idea that it's a public health crisis. I mean,
absolutely, and that's where I liken it to guns. In some quarters, not everywhere, but in some quarters, the gun issue is a public health crisis, and of course, Congress has forbidden the public money for federal money for research to review the public health aspect of it. But I agree, this is a public health crisis, and again, on the line that I believe guns are a public health crisis. The issue, I think, to a certain extent, is very much like guns, because it is something that relates to multiple. It's not a very simple issue. It's very complex, and it covers. It covers economic immobility. It covers. Where jobs are going. It relates to how automation, not trade policies, not trade pacts, but automation is driving where jobs are going and how many of them there are, especially in communities like that are smaller town and have subsisted on agriculture and or manufacturing, which have been transformed by automation. In fact, I had a conversation last night with someone who works at one of the big financial institutions here in Chicago, and was saying that years ago he had hosted some diplomats, government executives from China, agricultural ministers and folks like that, and they took them downstate Illinois to see big farms, and they took them to a 17,000 acre family farm in somewhere downstate Illinois, and the minister was asked, how many full-time employees do you think it takes to run this 17,000 acre farm? And he didn't know, and he was told 4. At harvest season, it's many, many more, but that's just, for a couple of weeks. And he said, do you know what the average size of a farm in China is? And people guessed whole numbers, and he said a quarter acre. He said, because they are subsistence farms. But we can't tell the Chinese people that the average farm here, well, this farm is 17,000 acres, because we'll have a revolution. And I think it's not just an economic thing, but I mean, when communities, vast swaths of America, these states that we're talking about, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, coal mining, agriculture, tobacco in Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, when there just isn't the market for the industrial product, coal, for example, even the Chinese now are getting away from coal. When there isn't the market, the free market doesn't want these products in the level that they've had before. And automation completely transforms the way farms operate, the way
you're citing these things as contributing factors to the opiate crisis?
Of course they are, because there are fewer jobs, there are fewer resources in these towns for people. It's not the fallacy of trade pacts or NAFTA. It's the reality of the economy. What happens when we go to self-driving cars? Do you know how many people that'll put out of work? And we're going to blame the Japanese or the Chinese or the Mexicans? It has nothing to do with that. And the reality is that in these communities, the economic landscape has completely changed. And the reality that people know, the legacies they know of, I was a farmer, and my dad was a farmer, or we worked at the plant, and we've worked at the plant for 4 generations. That's just not the reality anymore. Technology has so overwhelmed what we understand to be labor markets and labor economies that there's nothing left for a lot of people.
I know. Okay. I gotcha. It's very grim, and it's starting to sound like the answer to a lot of vapid election 2016 campaign rhetoric. I mean, I understand why people would say we need American ingenuity. We need people to start companies in their garages again. We need to make that happen. We need to bounce back. Because if we don't, in a new way, economically, the social conditions that are holding us back now, much like the opiate, namely the opiate crisis, they're going to continue to hold us back. Oh, you're listening. I know this is Trigger Warnings. It's challenging talk radio. This is very challenging, Jon, and thank you for bringing this chart to our attention.
Does it become less depressing as we go along? I don't know. You have a quiz.
No, it definitely does. I mean, would you like to move on? There's no good way to say thank you, or that was wonderful, or we came to a conclusion that will help us move forward as far as the opiate crisis. That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
I am sorry to be doing a sad disquisition on these topics, but
via a very small graph that appeared in my email. Where did you find this graph so people can check it out for themselves?
It's from a report that's being issued by the CDC. I don't know if the CDC's had a budget cut or has had a proposed budget cut. I don't know how it did in the budget that came out last week. But, perhaps the CDC, if that chart doesn't show up well on your computer, perhaps that's in anticipation of its budget cut.
No, it's fine. Oh, is that why? They're shrinking everything already? Oh, all right. Well, look, you mentioned earlier, the next show is our 20th show. It's a big moment, and you suggested maybe a Trigger Warnings book club would be appropriate. I think that's a fine idea, but little did you know, I was actually prepared. I've got here the Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio Book Club vetting document.
Vetting?
Yes. If you want to have a book club, apparently we're going to have extreme vetting. You have to get every...
I thought for a minute you were talking about Eddie vetting. But okay,
no. You know, extreme vetting. Not just anybody gets into this book club, okay? To get into the...
Are we vetting the participants or are we vetting the book?
I'm vetting you, okay? That's how it's going to go. And to get this right, that's right. You have to tell me who wrote each one of these things. Now, most of these are books. 90% are. A handful are productions, okay? Films or films that had books with them, and et cetera, et cetera.
Wow, that's amazing. This is telepathic.
I
This is
know.
what happens in these 19 shows.
I know.
You develop this kind of funky je ne sais quoi.
That's right. Now, what's really fun, and what's going to make this super easy for you, John, is I limited it to just 4 authors. I really wanted to think about the hegemony. So you've got 4 white men. These are the authors, and you're going to get what is this, like 15, 18 titles, and you're going to tell me which of these 4 people wrote each one. So Bill O'Reilly.
I'm writing I must write the names of that. These are great white authors.
Oh yes.
Bill O'Reilly. Okay.
Rush Limbaugh. Noam Chomsky.
Okay.
And Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon's written books?
Like I said, some things are productions. Some are a little more, Steve Bannon's written books. Of course he's written books. He's one of the great American statesmen of our time, dude. Come on.
Okay.
I mean, at least in terms of the hegemony. And that's how I picked those 4 authors. I wanted to think about hegemony. And we'll start out easy. Ready?
And are these titles or...
Yes, these are titles. You're going to get the title, and you tell me which of those 4 authors, O'Reilly, Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky, who wrote it. Ready?
I love this. This is a great exercise.
Thank you. Again, it's extreme vetting. Your first title, Old School, Life in the Sane Lane.
Old School, Life in the Sane... And I'm not going to I'm not going to cheat.
Is it Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
That is Bill O'Reilly.
That is Bill O'Reilly. Number 2. The Ruling Class, how they corrupted America and what we can do about it.
Ooh, that's a good one. The Ruling Class, that sounds like a Rush bow.
That is Rush Limbaugh. Oh, John, I hope you get to join me in the book club. But you've got a long road ahead of you.
Right. How many do I have to get right?
You have to get them all right. It's extreme vetting.
Oh, come on.
No, it's extreme, dude. Okay, Hitler's Last Days.
That's Bill O'Reilly.
That is Bill O'Reilly. How about this one?
Yeah.
Failed States, the Abuse of Power and the Assault on Democracy.
Failed, V-E-I-L-D?
No, failed, like with an F.
Failed. The whole title, please?
Failed States, the Abuse of Power and the Assault on Democracy. Is that Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
Wow. This is a really tricky one.
It's going to get worse, dude.
I'm thinking, you know what? I think I read an excerpt from this. And this is an author of whom I'm very critical, as you know. In fact, I do not think this person is a god, unlike many people do. So I think this is Dr. Chomsky.
It is Noam Chomsky. Well done. Okay, moving on. Who wrote "See, I Told You So"? Is that
I'm pretty sure.
Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
Well, that's so self-righteous. And it has no historical, no even fake history. So I don't think Steve Bannon's written any books. So I think it's Rush.
It is Rush Limbaugh. Who wrote Because We Say So? Is that Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
Well, that really, because I said so or because I say so?
Because we say so.
That also sounds like Rush. It sounds like Rush, but I don't know.
You don't want to...
wait a minute. I got it. Sorry. Wait. It's just like the Academy Awards where we can actually state it one way and then it turns out 2 minutes later to have been wrong.
Depends. I don't know how much of a simulation this all is. Who wrote Because We Say So? Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
Noam Chomsky.
Yes. Good job. Good. You're still in the running.
Okay.
Disclaimer, I believe that this was in collaboration with another person. Who wrote Generation Zero? And by write, remember, it can be a production or a book.
Well, yes. Oh, so that's a hint. Well, that is Steve Bannon ever produced? Well, he did produce films, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
That sounds like something Steve Bannon would do.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad. See, I don't want to be left alone in the Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio Book Club, so I am urging you along. Who wrote The Way Things Ought to Be?
Oh, that's Bill O'Reilly. That's when he talks about his nun's black face. Isn't that Bill O'Reilly? Or is that Rush? Wait. What's the book? Oh, no. The Bill O'Reilly one is You're a Stupid Idiot. You have a dumb face. No, that's Rush.
That is Rush. Boy, you almost lost it right there. Okay, ready? Who wrote Year 501, The Conquest Continues?
Was this when Steve Bannon went into the adult film category?
Year 501, The Conquest Continues.
Well, I have to admit I looked that one up.
Oh! Well, that's very unpatriotic of you to admit that you did. So you know that was written by Noam Chomsky.
I now know that it's written by Noam Chomsky.
Yeah. You please close your computer. It's just no fun for the audience if they wonder if you're cheating.
I'm concerned. I'm afraid you're going to ask me to show you what social media I visited on my cell phone, or if I face the east when I pray. And
look, you're still in the running to be a member of the book club. So who wrote?
One mulligan. That's me.
Who wrote Legends and Lies? The Patriots.
That's Bill O'Reilly.
That is Bill O'Reilly. Who wrote What Kind of Creatures Are We?
Oh.
Is that Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
Can I phone a friend?
You're going to want to save that for later.
What kind of people are we? Is that
Creatures. What kind of creatures are we? Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
I'm going to go with Bannon.
Oh, it is Noam Chomsky.
No, I'm not. That's not my final answer.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's fine. Well, you've already identified your distaste for Noam Chomsky to an extent that you may need to be disqualified from all Noam Chomsky books because of your distaste for him. I'm not sure how we roll these days.
I did not say I have a distaste. I do not think he is a god.
Oh. Well, that's fine. I don't think any of these people are gods.
Noam Chomsky has been, in many instances, proven not to be a god. That's all.
Who wrote Men in Black, How the Supreme Court is Destroying America?
That's gotta be Steve Bannon.
No, that's Rush Limbaugh. Who wrote The Undefeated?
That's got to be Steve Bannon.
That is a Steve Bannon production.
I've identified a certain... That's why the 501 thing, that sounded like Steve Bannon. The 501 sounded like, a secret society that does strange hand things like that guy Stephen Miller does.
Who wrote the book Who Rules the World?
That's Noam Chomsky.
That is Noam Chomsky. Who wrote the book?
That was his book, by the way. Not, let's not.
We all hear you. We hear your street cred. I understand. Who wrote Give Please a Chance?
Give Please? Please, a chance?
Yes.
Give Please a chance?
Yes. Is that Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
Was it like early Bill O'Reilly when he was doing entertainment reporting and was a nicer guy?
It's one of Bill O'Reilly's children's books. Good job.
Oh, really? Oh, see, that was good.
Who wrote What Uncle Sam Really Wants?
What Uncle Sam? Well, that's not a Chomsky title. Let's rule him out.
Is right. What?
I don't know
It's What Uncle Sam Really Wants. Is that written by Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky?
I'm going to go completely reverse psychology and say Chomsky because I fear if I miss another Chomsky, I'm going to get booted off the island.
Well, that was good thinking because it is a Noam Chomsky book.
We know where your bias is on.
Who wrote the January 2009 essay, Do Conservatives Need to Get Beyond Reagan? Was that Bill O'Reilly, Rush Limbaugh, Steve Bannon, or Noam Chomsky? Do conservatives need to get beyond Reagan? In January.
It's a question.
That's right. Yes, it's a question. The title of this 2009 essay is a question. Do conservatives need to get beyond Reagan?
The only person in that group who really claims to be a conservative is Rush. And Rush, not long after that, gave the keynote address at what was CPAC. So I'm going to go with Rush.
Nice job. You have two more, and you are a lifetime member in the Trigger Warnings Challenging Talk Radio Book Club.
I'm sweating.
Who wrote Deterring Democracy?
The what democracy?
Deterring.
Spell?
Deterring. Deterring Democracy.
The deterring democracy?
Deterring Democracy.
Deterring democracy.
To deter, to stop, to hold back. Deterring Democracy.
Sounds like Chomsky.
It is Chomsky. And finally, Who wrote Still Point in a Turning World?
Still point in a turning world?
That's right.
Is this necessarily a book?
It is a book, in fact. Actually, no, I believe it was a film. Perhaps a short documentary. It might have been a book, though.
Well, then it's Bannon.
It is. But wait. Oh, man. Dude, there's a bonus question. You have to get this right. What was Still Point in a Turning World about?
What was it about?
Yes! I can't believe it says that.
Well, wait a minute. That's not any of these people. That's T.S. Eliot.
Okay, Still Point in a Turning World was Steve Bannon's production about Ronald Reagan's ranch.
Are you serious?
I'm serious!
No, you aren't.
I am. And if you don't believe me, you can tweet us, T_warnings. This is Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. John Ross and Chris Smith, we're wrapping it up, as we always do, with a mega quiz. I mean, that was just the vetting process for the book club. In fact, you should tweet us and let me know if you think John should be allowed in the book club based on his performance on the vetting procedure. But John, you think? I mean, I think you passed. It was close enough.
I'm sorry. I've just been on the floor. I could not.
All right. Well, look. If you get all these right, then you're in, dude. You're in. Ready?
Oh, there are more questions?
Oh, here's the quiz. That was the book club vetting procedure.
That was the
No, here's your weekly multiple choice. I know you like these. Now, again, I don't know why, but we've got a hegemonic theme going on. So get ready.
Yes,
put on your hegemonic hat.
I'm into the hegemony, that too.
Okay, ready? Number one. Put these Russian leaders in chronological order, oldest to newest. Putin, Stalin, Trotsky, Lenin.
Putin, Stalin. Did you say Chomsky was the third one?
Trotsky.
Who was the third?
Trotsky.
Oh, him. As in, I went to Mexico and I got the Trotsky.
Oh.
Yes. Well, so did he. Well, he got worse than the Trotsky. Well, Trotsky technically was before Lenin, and then came Stalin, and then Putin.
Correct.
So,
Number two.
I'm writing these down.
Oh, I see. You're going to have to write this one down. Put these American presidents in order from best to worst.
Based on objective historian rankings or my own biases?
A, Carter. B, Nixon. C, George W. Bush. D, Obama.
Well, the rankings just came out recently, and of these four, Obama was, I believe, 12th. So Obama was the highest. I believe it would be Obama, Bush, Carter, Nixon, because Nixon has to be at the bottom because of that little thing called Watergate.
Number three, put these...
I got it right?
You did get it right. Congratulations. Put these Monty Python members in order from oldest to youngest.
Oh, that's hard.
John Cleese, Eric Idle, Graham Chapman, and Terry Gilliam. That's really hard,
the one
dude.
That's dead, the one that's dead...
He would be the oldest.
Well, no, he's dead.
You want to move on? I don't know who, dude. I got to talk to the person that's writing these.
Cleese is older. Cleese is older than Idle. I believe he's older than Gilliam, and Chapman is dead. So
nice job.
I got it. Okay.
This one is the hardest of this set. Okay, you don't have to do any more ranking after this one. Put these Marx Brothers in order from least important to most important.
Oh, I know what's coming here. Okay.
Groucho, Chico, Harpo, Zeppo, and Gummo.
What about Carl?
Why don't you go with what you got? I got a few more questions for you.
Okay, well, Groucho, I think, is the most important. Chico is second. Then the third one, the one who did the Italian stuff. And then I think in the order you read them, that would be the right answer, because Zeppo was the good-looking one who would show up and play the straight man, and then Gummo.
You would be right, but you didn't read the question carefully. It says from least important to most important. So what you would have to do is... So, I'm sorry. You did not get that one.
I'm left-handed. I do everything back.
Oh, okay. Number 5. What does KGB translate to? Is it A?
In Russian?
Yes, in Russian. What do you think?
Okay.
In English, via the most common Russian to English translation of the words in Russian. Okay?
Yeah.
Is it A, Committee for State Security, B, Committee for Homeland Security, C, Committee for Preservation of the Motherland, or D, Caring, Generous, Brave?
It's A.
It is A, Committee for State Security.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
Stop.
Ready? This is a good one.
Stop.
The Lord is my shepherd, I lack. Is it A, knowledge, B, everything, C, nothing, or D, security clearance?
The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing.
That's right. That's right.
I have no idea where that comes from, but that's okay.
Where does this come from? Quote, what is greater than great belongs to him, comma, nay, comma, he conquers the worlds which are greater than great. Is that A, Mueller's 1879 translation of the Upanishads, B, a footnote in Moody's Concordance of the Bible, C, a rough translation of a theological cave painting believed to be made by the Aztecs, or D, none of the above?
Yeah, that one.
No, it's A. It's an 1879 translation of the Upanishads. Which member of the Nixon White House wiretapped his own staff in 1969? Was it A, Haldeman, B, Rusk, C, Kissinger, D, General Westmoreland?
Haldeman.
No, Kissinger. Who said this? Quote, both of us have paid a price. 20 years ago, your privacy and your families were invaded, and you have been pursuing legal relief ever since. For me, the result has been virtually a decade and a half of defending myself in court against charges that I was the principal person responsible for a violation of constitutional rights. Was that A, Haldeman, B, Rusk, C, Westmoreland, or D, Tricky Dick himself?
It wasn't Tricky Dick. It was, I'm going to stick with Haldeman.
No, it was Kissinger himself, the trickiest dick of them all. That's why he didn't even he wasn't in the answers. Number 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is the enemy of the people? Is it A, Russia, B, cancer, C, Nazis, or D, terrorists?
None of them. It's the media. Obviously.
That's right. That's right. See, you're getting the hang of it. It's taken a couple weeks, but you're getting the hang of it. Okay, who tweeted this week? Quote, it's as if the administration doesn't understand the H, the B, the C, or the U, or understand why HBCUs were started and remain vital. Was that A, presidential hopeful Oprah Winfrey, B, presidential hopeful John Kasich, C, presidential hopeful Chelsea Clinton, or D, presidential hopeful Cornel West?
Well, it was in response to Betsy DeVos. I believe it was Cornell Brother West. I believe it was Brother West.
It was not. It was Sister Chelsea. Can I say that?
Sister Chelsea?
Am I allowed to say that? I don't know if that's okay to say.
I thought it was Sister Christian. Okay, we're wrapping up, I'm sure, yes.
Washington Examiner 3317, quote, on January 20th, the day Trump took office, the federal government had $382 billion in cash on hand. As of Thursday, that was down to about how many billion? 315, 225, 184, or 109? Cash reserves.
Well, they're going to, we're hitting the debt ceiling soon. The answer is the third one.
184? No, we're down to 109 billion. Number 14, our national debt is A, under 20 trillion, B, more than 20 trillion, C, more than 10 trillion, and 1/3 of that is federal student loans, or D, none of the above.
Well, it's approaching 20 billion.
Trillion, with a T.
Trillion, I'm sorry.
That's right.
The student loan debt is about $1.5 trillion, give or take. So it is slightly under, but very close to 20 trillion.
That's correct. Answer A. According to an article published this week in The Hill, is Hillary Clinton coming to terms with her new life? A, yes. B, no.
The answer is C, none of the above. The answer is check my email.
Number 16, the mix-up for Best Picture at the Oscars tells us A, we are living in a Matrix-like simulation. B, our celebritocracy cares as much about its public appearance as Steve Bannon cares about his. C, Warren Beatty is an android. D, Shirley MacLaine is an android.
Well, Warren Beatty and Shirley MacLaine are related. They are brother and sister.
I don't know if that makes them androids.
So they could both be androids.
That's true. I believe the right answer is B, but we may not know. Number 17, who coined the term economic nationalist? Was that A, Alan Greenspan, B, Guy Rizdal of NPR's Marketplace, C, Don Cheeto, or D, Mussolini?
Well, then it must be Mussolini.
No, see, you need to go with your gut. The answer is not there, but you were right the first time. It's Steve Bannon. All right, last question. This is it.
Well, I said Steve Bannon, and then you didn't give me a chance.
Well, I'm giving you the answers that are on the page. That's all I'm doing.
Well, that's not fair.
Here you go. Your last one. Steve Bannon's nickname in high school was A, Little Stevie Orbit, because of his wild dance moves at a high school prom. B, Bannon the Impaler, because of his because of his prowess in dodgeball. C, Zit Face or Pizza Face, because of his persistent acne. Or D, Alt Prom King, after he declared himself winner at homecoming weekend.
Alt Prom. Wow.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Well, I don't think it's the Alt Prom King.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, and I think A, Little Stevie Orbit, that's Steve Forbert's nickname, the Dylan-esque folk singer from the mid-'70s.
Right.
So I don't think that's right. So we're down to, is it Bannon the Impaler, which is just really, really funny, or is it Zit Face or Pizza Face, which is a really common insult in high schools.
I know Andrew Breitbart referred to him as the Leni Riefenstahl of the Tea Party movement.
Ooh. Well, see, and that's this quiz, the right answer might not be there. So I don't know if we'll ever really know. But if we find out, we'll tell you next week here on Trigger Warnings, Challenging Talk Radio. Jon, always a pleasure.
I must say that my brain is becoming more and more challenged. If only we could convert the Trigger Warnings quiz into kind of a souped-up 21st century version for older than college people called College Bowl or Alt College Bowl. We might have something.
Ooh, you know what? I like that. Alt College. That's a nice name.
Alt College Bowl. Alt College Bowl.
You could spell it A-U-L-T.
Well, that reminds me, when I was on College Bowl,
yes,
I got to the semifinals of my team. My team's name was Oral Fixation.
Oh, goodness. All right. Hey, thanks again for joining us here on Trigger Warnings. I'm Chris Smith. Jon Ross, we'll see you again next time.